Hello, Dante. I'd like to acknowledge the Ta'an-Quechin Council and the Kwanlindun First Nation whose shared traditional territory we're on. As the chief of the Kelowna First Nation, I'm a strong believer in the concept of reinvention. One of my favorite sayings is, the only constant in life is change. I'm always striving for finding new ways to do things, improve anything, take on new challenges. My own life has been reinvented, as you'll hear. 3 years ago, while living in North Vancouver with my Tongan husband and my 2 children, working for Indian and Northern Affairs Canada, I was struck for the longing for home, the shores of Kelowna Lake. I had spent my formative years living a traditional lifestyle around Kelowna Lake. Middle school was spent in Victoria, BC, or Whitehorse, Yukon, university in Victoria, and most of my summers and quite a few of my winters were spent living off the land in Burwash and around Kelowna Lake. We hunted, gathered, and I had so many amazing job experiences. My husband and I chose to start our family and our careers in Vancouver. Our children have a rich cultural history on both sides, and they were not really exposed to that living in Vancouver, living so far from our homelands. I really wanted them to experience a little bit of what we had grown up with in our respective sides of the globe. My position at INAC had allowed me to constantly be engaged with First Nation governments in British Columbia, sitting on the Government of Canada side of the table, of course. It was fulfilling work. I was able to work with chiefs and leaderships from those nations on achieving their goals, but something was missing. I was working so hard for the 29 Indian bands that were in my portfolio, yet I felt I wasn't doing enough to strengthen my own First Nation, the one my kids will inherit. Self-government and land claims agreements are new to Kelowna First Nation. Our agreement was ratified in February of 2004, came into effect then. Across Canada, Yukon First Nation agreements are seen as the benchmark of modern treaties. Self-governing Yukon First Nations are the trailblazers for modern treaties economically and politically. Yet implementing our history-making agreements in Yukon and Canada can be challenging and exciting, requiring more ways of thinking, lots of patience, and honest communication. It would take longer than 9 minutes to tell you about our current issues and hopes for the future for our people and for our nation. I was sure I needed to run for the chief in the 2010 general election. Yet was I crazy for having such lofty goals to return home? I wondered how people would react to having a female chief. Not just that, a female chief who was running for the seat from Vancouver. Having worked on the dark side for the past 8 years, I wondered if I'd be even taken seriously. I knew that I'd have to run a campaign from my home in Vancouver, juggling work, kids, play dates, birthday parties, soccer, everything else. I knew nothing like this had been done before, and I wasn't sure if it would work. I figured a Facebook campaign was the best way to reach the most people. I could chat, I could post video blogs, which I called infomercials, and I could keep up with what people were saying and wanting to know about. I launched a Facebook group called Mathieya Alatini for Chief of Kelowna First Nation, very imaginative, and began sharing my thoughts and goals for our nation. I was connecting with a lot of my cousins, friends, community members in Burwash, and throughout the world. Our membership is global. The great conversations were taking place online, and I was starting to feel really excited. What I hadn't originally considered was that in Burwash, only about 40% of the people have internet connections, and most of the elders don't even have a computer or wouldn't know how to use a computer. For those people, I called, and I talked to them, and I listened to their ideas of what our future could hold. My main platform was recruitment and retention of qualified staff, training KFN citizens, and communication of government activities. The message that I put out there and that I was hearing back from everybody was communication is key. My support was increasing all the time, and I was feeling great. I'd come home from work, I'd set aside 2 hours and work on the campaign, go through a list of members, identify people to contact. On election day, I won, and KFN had a record voter turnout. It was the best feeling for a few hours. And then suddenly, it became very real and very overwhelming. Reality sets in, and I started to come to grips with what a huge responsibility I was taking on. The priorities stated in the Together Today for Our Children Tomorrow document, which was taken to Ottawa in 1973, then became our land claims agreements, our land claims and self-government agreements. And I would need to focus, and there's going to be a lot of hard work to implement those. I had grown up in the 30-year era of negotiations and confrontations required to get those agreements. Now we needed to shift gears. We needed to focus on implementation and collaboration. I thought of all the acts and the policies that would need to be written and created. I thought of how I'd have to prepare my family for this huge change in 2 weeks. My daughter had to move from a school of 600 to a school of 9, which included her and her brother. My husband had to move to a community that didn't have a rugby team, not even a grass field. Then I realized that I had the confidence of a great number of Colonial First Nation citizens. Their hope was that I would do my best to bring life to our agreements that we have, that I would use my understanding of the federal government and my enthusiasm for coming home to really make a positive change for our community. I'm now on my second term. I was re-elected in August of 2013. And just one of the many stories that I love to share about what we've achieved in our 3 years is our progress on becoming energy self-sufficient. At Colonial First Nation, we developed a strategy to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels by initiating a solar pilot project on one of our public works buildings, and it creates more energy than it consumes. Thereby, we're selling energy back to the utility. We've revitalized our biomass district heating system to heat all of our administration buildings, saves us over $5,000 a month in heating bills, and we use up the beetle kill, and we create employment opportunities. We've drilled a geothermal well, the deepest in the Yukon, a little competitive, to tap into the geothermal potential, which has the capacity to heat, I love this, the new water treatment plant, a new greenhouse that could feed all of our community, a new school, we need one, 100 years, a new pool, and up to 30 more housing units. Our wind energy project will have the biggest impact. By installing 3 wind turbines, we'll effectively reduce the diesel consumption on the grid in the Burwash Destruction Bay area by 30%. The energy storage issues also create opportunities from that for home heating and hot water heating and electric cars. I had my eye on a model. Our self-government model enabled us to partner with industry and governments for projects like these, and for such a small community, our innovations are remarkable. We've moved away from the old DIA model of dependency to one of cooperation and self-reliance. We're moving full circle back to our roots as strong and capable people, and we're looking at our decisions through a 7 generations lens, making decisions that are economically, socially, and environmentally responsible and beneficial for now and in the future. I love the reactions that I get when I talk about our solar panels and our wind turbines. 11 years ago, we had little to no say in these types of activities. Now we have a vision, we write a plan, and we make it happen with our partners. The key to our successes is the reinvention of relationships with other governments, and being empowered to realize our vision for our children, our grandchildren, and the generations to follow.